The more I think about it, the more I'm convinced that Disney Marvel's big success for the MCU this year will likely not be Avengers Doomsday, but Spider-Man Brand New Day instead. So this is the fourth Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, and it sees Peter Parker trying to adapt to his new life following the events of the end of the previous film, where the world and his closest friends, including his girlfriend, had their memories of him wiped. So nobody remembers Peter Parker anymore. Meantime, he seems to be undergoing some kind of powerful and mysterious transformation. He's developing new abilities, new powers. Is this Venom? Is he possibly becoming Man-Spider? We'll have to wait and see. I think it's going to be Man-Spider, personally. But anyway, either way, I have much higher hopes, much higher expectations for Brand New Day than I do for Avengers Doomsday. I think that Brand New Day will be the better MCU film of the two for some important reasons. Firstly, the Spider-Man films have been among the stronger performing MCU films in the franchise, as well as being some of the most well-received by critics and fans. Reception was especially positive for the second and third films, 2019's Far From Home and 2021's No Way Home. Above all, Spider-Man Brand New Day will have a smaller budget than the colossally expensive Avengers Doomsday. Doomsday is going to be one of the most expensive movies ever made, making Brand New Day more likely to be more profitable. Brand New Day is also a self-contained story of its own. Doomsday will be incorporating a lot of story elements from past MCU events, past MCU movies, and tying things back to Avengers Endgame. So I suspect that this is going to make the film very exposition heavy, a lot of explaining of what's going on in the story. Add to that the fact that Avengers Doomsday will be juggling a lot of characters from across the franchise and incorporating characters from other Marvel franchises, such as the X-Men, and it makes for a complicated and possibly messy story. I think it's going to be a messy movie. By comparison, Brand New Day will be practically a blank slate. I mean, sure, it continues the story from No Way Home, but it's likely not going to be necessary for you to have watched that film to understand what's going on. The events of No Way Home are far easier to summarize than the convoluted plot setup that is expected in Avengers Doomsday. Doomsday has a lot riding on it as well. And Doomsday has a lot of multiverse complexity to establish to the audience and a huge amount of characters to manage, like I say. I'm doubtful that the story will be particularly strong when the basis of the film, the multiverse, is really just being used as an excuse for a massive superhero crossover movie, bringing back past characters and having them all on screen together. I mean, let's be honest, that's what this is all about, really. In particular, the return of Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans. So, the film's foundation is built on a sci-fi gimmick plot device to achieve some nostalgia, basically. I'm not convinced that this is a solid foundation for a story. I mean, that's the starting point, right? Find some means of getting lots of popular characters on screen at the same time for a crossover reunion film, which is designed to entice fans to show up at the cinema. So to me, when you're beginning from that kind of a place, your plot, your concept is already kind of secondary. And that's the reason why I think that Brand New Day will likely be the better film. I think it's beginning from a better place. It's led by story and character first, not by the requirement to somehow squeeze as many legacy characters and cameos on screen as possible. Avengers Doomsday is the Hail Mary movie for Marvel, and like I say, there is a great deal riding on this film with respect to reinvigorating the franchise, which has been in the doldrums a little bit over the last few years, and also to launch the future of the franchise. So this is the film that's supposed to return the franchise to its former glory. And really, Disney Marvel need a big win. They need this film to make heaps of money. They need this film to be as successful at the box office as Avengers Infinity War or Endgame. That's the kind of range they're going to have to reach. But the problem for the film is that the production budget is enormous. The production budget is enormous. It's reported to be $400 million. That's the production budget. We've talked about that before in a previous video. And then on top of that $400 million, the marketing costs are expected to be around $300 million, which means that the film will likely need to make $1.5 billion at the box office just to break even. $1.5 billion. Now, I think in this day and age, that's a big ask. Back in 2018, back in 2019, that was a lot easier for the MCU to do. And look, the MCU has done that since then with, for example, Spider-Man No Way Home back in 2021, which made $1.9 billion at the box office, as you can see here from Box Office Mojo. So it is possible. It is possible. But even the highly regarded Deadpool and Wolverine from 2024 only made $1.3 billion. But it's only about average for the first three phases of the MCU. For Avengers Doomsday to reach $1.5 billion today is going to be difficult. I think the cinematic landscape has changed. Audience habits have changed. People are staying at home and streaming a lot more. So they're happy to sit at home and wait for films to be made available on their favorite streaming service and watch them on their couch. So yeah, I think it's going to be a challenge. I think it's going to be a challenge for Doomsday to reach $1.5 billion. When you think about it, even Avatar, Fire and Ash just came up short. It made nearly $1.5 billion. And that franchise has not had the creative decline of the MCU. Mind you, I personally think that Doomsday's production budget is probably larger than $400 million. But even giving them the benefit of the doubt, that figure is still a considerable financial hurdle to overcome. Spider-Man Brand New Day will have a budget a good deal lower than that. And because there's so much goodwill towards those Spider-Man films, I think that Brand New Day will have a much easier road to profitability at the box office. So that's going to do it for today, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell to be notified of future updates. Share the video out there. Hit that like button. Take care. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.